Aphasia is a language impairment that results in brain damage which usually occurs from a stroke. There are several types of aphasia such as global, Broca's, Wernike's, and conduction aphasia, but this video will focus on Broca's and Wernike's aphasia. Broca's aphasia, also known as expressive aphasia, is distinguished by damage to the inferior frontal gyrus, which is a region linked to language processing, especially in the left hemisphere of the brain. These aphasics have difficulty with speech production. They have slow, laborious, non-fluent speech, which is often filled with pauses and short utterances. Their speech usually is filled with content words, but lacks function words. While their ability of speech production is compromised, Broca's aphasics are still able to comprehend language. We watched several videos on Sarah Scott, a woman who has Broca's aphasia. We observed her symptoms of speech impairment and its progression over the years with the help of therapy. A few months after her stroke, she could barely string 2 words together, but 7 years later, she was able to speak in full sentences without too many pauses. Wernike aphasics, on the other hand, seem to be the opposite of Broca's aphasics. People with this type of aphasia have fluent speech, but their comprehension is impaired. They tend to have damage to their left posterior temporal lobe. They may pepper their sentences with extra or nonsense words, and it is often hard to comprehend their sentences. They don't seem to know they have an impairment or that their sentences don't always make sense. Wernike's area is responsible for giving meaning to the language input, so when that area is damaged, the ability to process and assign meanings to words is impaired. While it is relatively easy to define each of these aphasias, diagnosing, studying, or understanding how these aphasias came to be proves to be more difficult. There are no 2 lesions or set of symptoms that are exactly alike. They vary from person to person, and brain damage can extend over several brain areas. Damage to Broca's or Wernike's area doesn't necessarily lead to Broca's and Wernike's aphasia. A study conducted on brain-damaged patients showed that about 85% of Broca's aphasics have damage in their Broca's area, but only 50 to 60% of patients with a lesion in their Broca's area have Broca's aphasia. One type of therapy that seems to benefit most is music therapy. A study focused on 2 Broca's aphasics, and the results showed that music intonation helps with cadence more so than non-intonation therapy. But understanding the different levels of linguistic representation is vital for finding an individualized aphasia treatment plan.